Oh no, I'm out. Oh no, mag's empty. Here goes nothing. Take that. Ooh. Whoops, forget the prime. Not enough distance. Oh no, I have no more choice. Stop screwing around. Use this, we are in desperate situation. Oh yes, and that calls for the Desperado. Hello, what is up guys, I'm your host Gordon and welcome to another one of my video. And what I call over here is a blaster that is meant for a desperate situation, which is the DartZone Desperado. And behold, in the next 1 or 2 months, this blaster will be available in Malaysia. So if you guys wanted a blaster for your desperate situation, you might want to take a look at the Desperado. Guys, I need some help. Do remember to click on the like button and leave a comment down below so that we can actually fight with the YouTube algorithm that's been suppressing this channel ever since I came back to Malaysia. Okay, first look at the blaster. As you can see, the aesthetic of the blaster is definitely one of the sidearm aesthetic, and this blaster over here is not being advertised as a pro grade blaster. So basically, this is a normal series DartZone blaster, which is very useful for any kinds of games such as family games and even pro games. The moment when you hold the blaster on hand, the weight of the blaster is very light and the texture of the grip over here is nice as well. This is more of a combination of a glossy plastic as well as a texture plastic. And in terms of plastic quality, as usual, newer DartZone blasters tend to come with way better plastic quality as well as build quality as well, because as you can see, there is not a whole lot of plastic squeaking noise. In fact, there is none. I would say this blaster is very well put together. And the darts that came with the blaster is definitely a full-length dart, and the color of the darts is rather intriguing. As you can see, these are green and purple, more of a Evangelion theme over here. We got punch quality of these longer darts is way better than AF darts in my opinion. It comes with one of these softer hits. I mean, it just felt solid. As why I'm so excited with this blaster over here is the mechanism of the blaster. I said before, this blaster is very useful in any family games as well as pro games. As you can see, there is no priming mechanism over here. You can't pull it anywhere. The only way for you to fire this blaster is just pull the trigger. As you can see, there is a huge trigger over here because this is more of a trigger priming combo. The moment when you pull the trigger, it will fire the blaster, and the velocity of the firing is kind of strong, by the way, for this kind of mechanism. Due to the humongous trigger over here, the grip tend to be a little bigger, so if your hands are a little small, you might have a little problem to stabilize the blaster. In terms of the safety features of this blaster over here, it does not come with any safety switch. In fact, finger off the trigger practice does not exist for this blaster, because the moment when you hold the blaster just like so, when your trigger finger is off the trigger, you can still kinda engage the blaster by accident with 3 of your fingers over here. Therefore, that's something that you have to remember. The maximum dart capacity of this blaster is a generous 6 full-length dart, I would say. In order to load the darts, very easy. You can load it either side of this blaster. You can free spin this thing however you want. Just drop in the dart just like so. Easy peasy. You can just free spin it however you want. There is a plastic flap in there to control the cylinder, therefore the mechanical sound, which is pretty nice to hear. In terms of Picatinny rail, this blaster does not come with any Picatinny rail. Understandable, this is much more of a sidearm. In fact, this is more of a emergency blaster. The blaster comes with a pair of iron sight on top of the blaster over here, a rather huge iron sight. I found that it is very easy to aim. Oh yeah, by the way, when you actually position the blaster straight up like that, you will realize that there is kind of a sloping line between the iron sight at the front and the iron sight at the back. Therefore, this allows you to aim at a slightly longer distance than just aiming straight at your opponent. This allows you a slight arc, not a lot, but just enough arc to give it another extra half a meter to hit the target, which is great. At the front over here, there is no end strike barrel lock, therefore you are not able to put in any sorts of accessory. At the back over here, it looks like you can put on a buttstock, but unfortunately, this thing is just just a empty piece of plastic. You can't put in any attachment over here. The colors at the body of the blaster over here is achieved by plastic separation. Really like the attention to detail. There is no paint involved in this blaster, therefore you can just basically rough up your blaster without the worry of chipping paints. In professional settings, many players will carry multiple sidearms such as a sidearm size blaster like the Diana or the Venom Pro, and some even carried an extra jolt for emergency situation. But as emergency situation as it can get, jolt requires you to prime the blaster by pulling the primer downwards. Just in case of emergency situation that you forgot to pull the primer and you have opponents coming here and there, you are basically done for. However, this blaster over here does not require you to pull any sorts of primer. The moment when you whip it out, you can just basically pull the trigger, and there is a very high chance in desperate situation that you will hit the opponent, because the accuracy of this blaster I've tested out just now is surprisingly accurate. Basically, you just have to point this blaster towards your opponent without actually aiming it properly. There is a 90% chance that you will definitely hit your opponent if you are in like a 4-meter range like that. Therefore, it fits the name perfectly, the Desperado. But sadly enough, this blaster can only fire full-length dart. I've tried putting in half-length darts in that, just that there is absolutely no distance at all. And speaking of distance, this blaster over here performs way better than a jolt. A jolt can just go for maybe 3 meters effectively hitting a target. This blaster over here, holy moly, we're talking about 4 to 5 meters. Like, we're definitely gonna test the numbers out later. So without further ado, let us go test the blaster out, shall we? Okay, we are back, guys. So the performance of the blaster is absolutely unimaginably good. Being just a trigger prime blaster, we are expecting something like maybe slightly better than a jolt, but this blaster over here surpassed my expectation. This blaster can go from 62 FPS all the way to 67 FPS pretty consistently though. And hitting a target in 4 to 5 meters is definitely not a problem at all, because this blaster, surprisingly enough, being a cylinder-fed blaster, it just fires relatively straight. At first, I thought that because of the quality of the darts, this blaster can go relatively accurate, and I try on something like a waffle head dart such as the green one. It is very accurate as well, and the performance is about the same. So we are basically talking about a seriously accurate, desperate short-range blaster. And this blaster over here is officially coming into my mil-sim and professional arsenal. And will this blaster passes the wall test? As you can see, it just matches really well with all these red blasters over here. So far, operating this blaster, I did not encounter any jams at all, which is a good thing. But, yeah, there is a but though. When firing the blaster without a priming handle, if you don't have a strong enough grip, you might struggle stabilizing the blaster. So therefore, you might need a little bit of a gripping exercise, maybe more deadlifts to increase your gripping power. But once you get a hang of it, it fires really accurately. Or in desperate situation, in order to stabilize your firing, you can basically just hold the back of this blaster over here and start firing at your opponent, which this, in my opinion, it is much more suitable for newer players who does not know how to control your gripping strength and stabilization. So yep, that's all for today, guys. If you guys like this video, feel free to smash on the like button to support this channel, and don't forget to click on the subscribe button as well as the notification bell. So yep, Gordon's checking out, and I'm going to see you guys in the next video. Adios, guys.